The Thing.
I'm the Thing.
Buzz. Aliens. We talked movies. If you want to check out that bonus bit on the CU podcast, you can.
I mean the Patreon?
The Patreon.
Welcome,
still bonus bit.
Welcome to the CU podcast.
It's a bonus CU podcast bit.
Welcome to the CU podcast. Non-movie edition for Monday? A Monday? What? June 20th? What the hell's going on? The last day of spring? Is summer tomorrow or Wednesday? 2022. Spring has been sprung and it's almost done.
Spring sprang.
Alongside Ian Ferguson, I'm Pat Contry. On the show today, we'll be talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge.
Yes, of course.
Graded VHS tapes. Is it the next big thing or another scam?
Get in early.
An update to the WADA lawsuit. A quick one. And then a Patreon poll and Q&A. But yes, we did talk about movies on the exclusive CU podcast on Patreon, patreon.com/CU podcast.
What else did you do this weekend,
Ian
Patrick?
yelled at me about Buzz Lightyear. What did I do this weekend? I saw Buzz Lightyear. That's what I played Shredder's Revenge. I mean, that's what I did. And I tried to relax for the first weekend in about 12 weeks. I think I didn't work that much.
2 weeks.
12 weeks.
12 weeks, I know.
I didn't work on the book at all this weekend. I didn't work on anything outside of, it worked. The game was fun, but that's work with the podcast because we're reviewing it as well. So why am I recording a day early? Because I'm leaving on a jet plane, the red-eye tonight, going to Pennsylvania to visit my family, and too many games this weekend in Oaks, PA, June 24th to 26th. My panel's on Saturday. I'll be there selling stuff with pal Antoinette. Great artist. She sells stickers and T-shirts, and she's usually my con wifey. She helps me sell. I help her manage. We help each other out in terms of managing the booth and stuff. And I'll have my books and enamel pins and such there.
I went to a hot sauce convention over the weekend. That was incredibly fun. Very well run. Not going to get into it too much. I do that for the other podcast, but there was, for a first year event, it was extremely organized.
Were there panels and guests?
There was eating contests on a big stage, and then there were bands in between, but there were like 50 fucking hot sauce vendors.
So you have vendors, you have a band, they had
vendors, bands, eating contests, and then lots of like food stalls too.
Did the hot sauce have to be included in the eating contest?
No, the eating contests were hot. Yeah, they were spicy eating contests.
Well, remember what foods they were?
So they did. I'm trying to remember all of them. There was Musubi Mayhem, so they did spam Musubi. There was Lumpia of Regret.
Okay.
Noodle Nightmare.
Noodle Nightmare.
That
sounds like the worst thing to do for an event like that. That's just start coming out your nose when it comes up.
Noodle Nightmare. There was a Gator Toes one. Gator Toes are dehydrated, like crunchy garlic.
Oh, not Gator Toes.
They're called Gator Toes. They're not actually
crunchy garlic.
It's crunchy dehydrated garlic that they put like spices and seasonings.
Raw garlic that's dehydrated.
It's so good. Yeah, it's really, really
not
tasty.
Cooked garlic. Okay.
No. It's really mild once you dehydrate it because you're probably pulling all those bitter oils out.
Okay.
Very tasty.
It's like a Funyun when you're eating it, basically.
Yeah, it's crunchy. I would have loved to have done the Lumpia one, but that one started shortly after we got there. I love Lumpia.
I've never had that.
Lumpia, it's like tiny little crispy spring rolls. They're I believe Filipino in origin. They're delicious.
Oh, are those sort of similar to the ones that Yoshi gave me some? He brought over they're smaller. They're like,
oh yeah, I think he actually told me that he had given you a bunch of lumpia. Yeah, lumpia's delicious.
Yeah, they're like less fill, more killer, less filler when it comes to. There's less of a shell on it.
Less of it. There's a light crispy shell, and then usually filled with meats or vegetables.
Yeah, they're delicious.
They're awesome. Lumpia is amazing. But yeah, every single booth, everything they had on offer was sampleable. So by the time John and I finished, we had probably both consumed the equivalent of like 2 bottles of hot sauce in our gut.
Oh, volcano ass is coming.
Yeah.
Volcano ass is coming.
It hurt later that night.
Oh, boy.
But it was really cool. I mean, I love hot sauce. And the nice thing is like, this is not the late 90s, early 2000s where every boutique hot sauce is called like Roid Ripper or some bullshit like that. Ass blast and anus juice.
I wasn't in the scene back then, Ian. I don't remember that.
You've probably seen the hot sauces. They all had stupid fucking bravado names.
Like a turtle's head on fire on the cover.
And they all wanted to be the hottest fucking thing you ate. And it was nice to go to this because John and I really do like, very hot stuff, but there was tons of sauces.
There's tasty sauces.
There was tons of hot sauces that, yes, were spicy, but they were tasty. Yeah, they were ones that I could give you a lot of the hot sauces and you'd be totally fine.
Yes, a Cholula isn't too hot for most people, but it's tasty, or a Tapatio. You know what I mean? Like that's more my game.
And I got some really clever ones too. I got a soy-based hot sauce, which is out of control. A honey habanero sauce, a mustard-based one. So yeah, lots of good stuff. It was fun.
Okay, I think I ran into someone at a local supermarket that was like selling. It was one of those things like local. It was like local sellers of food products that were always like set up a day over here. And someone was selling hot sauce, and I talked to her about it for like 5 minutes.
There's a lot of local hot sauces in Southern California. There were people there from like New Zealand and Texas, and a few people
came from New Zealand.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, there was a New Zealand hot sauce company that was there.
Wow, I think about that investment. I mean, are they trying to get like wholesalers there, like trying to?
Well, from what I understand, I mean, looking around, a lot of the like vendors were like, "Oh, and if you need us to ship back your hot sauce, we can do that for you." And John and I are like, "We live in San Diego," so I feel like it was, even for a first year event, it was run by a big hot sauce name, Inferno Farms, which happens to be in San Diego.
Okay, so
I feel like it was a big enough event. I feel like it actually did get some people to travel for it.
I think I found Ian's calling. You'll start organizing these food events.
Yeah.
You'll start putting them on there. Speaking of conventions, real quick, I got too many games. They are relaunching Retroware. So the name Retroware, basically the brand and the website was all sold to Screenwave Media at this point 2 or 3 years ago. And so they are now going to be basically an imprint company. They're going to be like a publishing name, and they'll be like a corporation name for renting arcade machines for events, and they'll have merch and things like that, and drops for creators. And it's good to see the name live on in a way.
I think so. I think this really makes a lot of sense. This makes more sense, I think, than what they were trying to do with it. I mean, it's got Ware right in the name. It's perfect. Yes. Publish games under that name.
Yes, absolutely. So it's and they sell the t-shirts are nice. I'll try to pick up Ian a t-shirt if he's nice. I mean, he doesn't yell at me about a Pixar movie. I'm
just saying, these things are not as adult as you think.
You got heated. I touched some weird place with you when we talked about that in the exclusive podcast.
You can check and see.
You can see me and Ian go at each other at patreon.com/CU podcast. Real quick, a nice little story from Force of Illusion, Fairyland Story.
It's kind of like the beginning of Taito's like single screen arcade games.
Yeah, like the precursor, like the Bubble Bobble
to
stuff.
Check and Pop and Bubble Bobble and all that.
So through Gaming Alexandria, this is Force of Illusion Hard for Games. I love Tony at Hard for Games. They're revealing a never-before-seen unreleased port of the Fairyland Story for the Famicom. It was in arcades in '85. Its predecessor, Taito's other cutesy platform games like Bubble Bobble and New Zealand Story. I love New Zealand Story.
New Zealand Story is great.
It's cute. Then they did a Famicom port with Taito's approval, and then it made a brief appearance in a magazine and it was canceled. So someone
so this is actually interesting how they found it. It turned up in a lot of actual Famicom games with a label on it. And the guy, someone noticed it, so they ordered the lot of games, and it took them a while to get it dumped, and they finally did. So this is like a true, just like finding a diamond in a rough. I mean,
person saw it and took a chance. Oh, what is that? It could be this. Could be something.
And it was. So that's really cool.
Dated April 25th, 86, and appears to be a debug build. It's always interesting how these come out. It's like someone just takes it home from Taito and then gives it to their kid, maybe, or someone, you know what I mean? Like, doesn't care.
Right.
And then, 35 years later, 36 years later, here it is. Yeah, it's just a cute little single player game.
We went from.
You can check out Hard for Games. There's some gameplay on here. Tony might be writing for a certain N64 guidebook from Hard for Games. There. So anyway, and then the ROM's online as well. So there you go. Then there's more preservation news. It's a golden age of preservation in the past. I'd say 2 years. This is great. Going back to that UWC wrestling game, ROM. Remember that? I sort of like kicked off everything. Around that time, things sort of like
I think that's when everything was ballooning. Sure.
Yeah. A new version of the Super Nintendo Campus Challenge ROM was released by one of the few owners of the existing Campus Challenge like board ROMs. You've ever seen that? They're boards there. So this was on Reddit. I'm not on the Reddit. I'm not good with the Reddit. I've posted twice on Reddit ever.
I think that's as many times as I've posted
on the same forum.
On the same forum.
On the Intellivision_Miko forum. So
I don't not post there because I'm too good for it. I just don't need another. I don't need another thing to get myself into.
I waste enough time on Twitter.
Yeah.
So this person said, "Hello all. I'm the owner of one of 3 Campus Challenge 92 original carts. I'm providing this dump as I was made aware this particular ROM is MIA, missing in action, and I would love to see people get excited about high scoring the same way a community has been built about scoring on the 1990 NWC. The reproduction cartridges have been long out of production, the retro USB ones I believe is referring to, so figured I would give you all a means to play this. I'm providing 3 mirrors, but in the case that they go down, you can reach me, blah, blah, blah. So, and there's documentation. So this is really cool. So I guess the ROM that exists isn't exactly the same thing that existed originally, or it was like a hack. I'm not super familiar with it.
I can't remember. My understanding was there was some sort of hack involved in it, but I can't
to get it to work.
Yeah, I don't know.
So maybe this is more authentic. I mean, I played it for the Super Nintendo book. I went through it obviously, and some events have had, like I said, the repro one. So yeah, it's just good to see this stuff happen like this. So now I guess we got all 3 officially there. We got the 90, the one no one talks about, the 91 fucking Campus Challenge one.
You know what people do talk about, though?
What do they talk about, Ian?
UltimateNintendo.com.
Why do they talk about it, Ian?
Because you can go there, books, pins, etc., labels.
Oh,
good times. Cameo. Also Twitch on Wednesday nights.
That was horrible. No Twitch this Wednesday because I'll be in Pennsylvania. And I'm going to Seaside Heights on Wednesday.
Woo!
So I might do a hangout.
Excited to see what that looks like in pictures.
Seaside Heights?
Well, these days, yeah.
I mean, it's largely the same except for the fire that happened at Seaside Park, and then the casino pier doesn't have all the rides going out to the edge like it used to.
What I mean is just like if they add stuff, or if they are ever going to do anything with the burned down spot. That's
yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
It's restaurants now. It's
okay.
Like that's a year after Superstorm Sandy, Seaside Park, which is the southern side of it, which survived Sandy because Sandy hit more Seaside Heights. A year later, an electrical fire that started at Coors Ice Cream, the awesome custard ice cream I always talk about. It's been there forever.
Yeah.
Electrical fire ruined like 2 blocks of the Boardwalk and disintegrated and vaporized probably the best arcade left in Jersey with all the old games. It's on video. I've done 2 videos.
I think that's the one that you always mentioned had the Hercules machine.
Yes.
Yeah.
They had about 20 to 25 pinball machines. They had about 50 to 60 classic machines, like track and field, asteroids, all the old stuff. They had the 2-player Sega boxing game you never see with the arms from like the early 90s. Remember that one?
Oh yeah, I do. That used to be at the laser tag place we used to go at.
Yeah, they had that. Yeah. They had the what the hell was the one that came out in Saturn? They had the sit down 2-player version, the battle
Virtual
robot.
On.
Yes, they had that. They had some cool shit there.
Love that machine is awesome.
They had a Mario Versus, and all gone because of the fire. And not just that. Carousel that was old, not as old as the Seaside one. The Seaside one's been preserved. They made an agreement to they wanted to sell it for parts, and the town said, "This is only in Jersey. This corruption and pay for play. Don't destroy it. We'll give you free land if you let us preserve it." Like that's literally what they said. Like they bribed them not to chop up this fucking, at this point, 90-year-old, 100-year-old carousel that's gorgeous. Jesus. There again, go watch my Pat Goes to the Jersey Shore video from like 2000.
I think I actually had
I'm riding on that carousel. But anyway, so another carousel was destroyed at Seaside Park. But more importantly, and the arcade machines, there must be only 3 of these that still exist in the fucking world, or 4. One of the old light gun games, probably from like the 50s or 60s. Where there's like 12 to 15 lined up. You pay it 50 cents $, you get like 15 shots, and it's a light sensor, little targets, and they're all animatronic. The guy plays the piano.
There's one at Disneyland.
There's one at Disneyland. Is it that old? Or is it from the 60s, you think?
It's pretty freaking old.
So the point is, that's gone. That was gone. There's probably still one down in Wildwood, New Jersey, which is like one of the more southern ones, but people from Philly go to.
Yeah, I love those. I have to, anytime I see those, I got to do it.
So when I went back in 2019 to visit for the first time, I literally teared up because where all this stuff was, just sands, There was like one burnt fucking plush. I sort of got one burnt plush animal on the beach there, like a symbol of it gone. So now they probably have more restaurants. That part is more less sleazy now. Sawmill Pizza is still there. It was like the biggest pizza ever. It used to be famous. It was like free soda with every slice, and the slices were like gigantic. They're like the big slices. And that was always the thing we would end up on. So that survived because they had their own sprinkler system, and then the arcade next to it had its own sprinkler system. That survived. 90% of everything else is gone in like a block and a half radius. There, that's gone from that boardwalk. So I think it's rebuilt up by now. 3 years later, or that was actually 6 years ago. It all burnt, or 7 years ago, or I think it was 17 or 16. It burnt. So like it'll be interesting to see now what's there. And I'll play Frog Bog. May I win you little frog from Frog Bog? I just buy a slimy frog from Frog Bog. Hey, this is probably from the 80s. We get the slimy frog. You get that?
So here's an interesting
thing.
The
ring toss, you never win. That's there still.
Just so you know, you can actually still buy. There are people who still manufacture and make those light gun shooting galleries.
The same one? Like with the guy on the piano?
I mean, there's shitloads of them that you can apparently still buy.
There's still a company that makes that.
Yep. BMI Gaming has a whole section based on these light gun things.
Like the heavy rifles.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Amazon Jungle with the heavy rifles. You can get an 8-player or a 12-player version.
So that's their bread. They're the only ones that probably make that in the whole fucking world. There's no idea. Are you serious? What's the website? Is it BMI Gaming?
BMIgaming.com.
Well, it's good to know there. They're probably, there's a history of video arcade games, amusements. I mean,
so like some of these are much smaller, but they do still have like 12-player ones.
They got the big ones.
Yeah, they've got some big
people
ones.
out there, they're like 25 feet long.
They're long, yeah.
And they go like 15 feet deep. There's so much stuff to shoot. There's tons of targets.
They're fun as fuck. I love them.
Oh, they're great. So anyway, that's all gone. It makes me say that there was none other on the Seaside Boardwalk besides that one. You still have the BB one, hit the star out. Sure. I almost did it one time because you got to cut a circle around it.
It's tough.
And there was like one thing I was like, you never see anyone win that stuff.
No,
never.
No, that's like impossible.
They give you just enough to think you have a shot, but you never have a shot at that. That's always fun. That's still there. You get the BB gun. You know, they used to have back in the early 90s. They had shoot a guy with the paintball is always a guy with a Saddam Hussein mask on. Yeah, that would walk across and someone gets shot. What a job that is! Get shot with paintballs, for money, because they had targets too, but everyone was just shooting Saddam Hussein. Back in the day. Oh, good times, Ian.
Good times. Great taste.
So I'll be at Too Many Games June 24th and 26th in Oaks, PA. Then I'll be at the Southeast Game Exchange in Greenfield, South Carolina, July 9th and 10th. You want to talk Vince McMahon, Ian? Let's get into it, Ian.
I really don't, but Vince McMahon stepped down as CEO from WWE, and Stephanie McMahon is replacing him. Because he has the news has come out that he was involved in potentially an affair. Allegedly an affair that he paid it was a paralegal that was hired in 20. So here it is. Comes from a Forbes article. A report released Wednesday from the Wall Street Journal says the 76-year-old McMahon was allegedly involved in an affair with a 41-year-old paralegal he hired in 2019, who received a $3 million payout in January, barring her from discussing her relationship or disparaging McMahon. $3 million payout and stepping down from your role as CEO. That seems guilty to me. That seems to imply some guilt.
The board is investigating it because, here's the thing. This is a public company.
Yeah.
This isn't a private company. They went public in 99. You can't hide this stuff off the books. If someone says, what is this $3 million payment? Like, what is this to this employee? That's like, that was the original salary was $100,000 and bumped it to $200,000 after beginning a sexual relationship with her, according to this CNN article. Yeah, you can't get away with this stuff and brush it under the rug. This isn't the 80s. Or the early 90s when there's no oversight. Right. You have a board of directors. It's different. It's a private company. You can do more of what you want, not when it's public. You have stockholders. You have people you have to answer to. You have a board of directors.
Well, you can't do what you want, but your $3 million payment might not be noticed as quickly.
That's the whole point. It's you don't think he was ever doing this type of shit before?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
He was notorious, allegedly, for using drugs and being wild in the 80s and into the 90s.
Yep.
I mean...
He probably did a bump of coke off Hogan's dick at some point, if I had to guess. Anyways.
But so the point is that...
Come on. He had to have.
Anyway. So the point is that I'm almost shocked because I thought about this over the years, like that nothing like this came out when people like in Hollywood, all these people that get outed for being awful towards women and stuff. It's like, well, this guy is awful on the surface. Yes. It's known that he's awful. Like he is the character. Like the character that he plays on TV is not far off from his real personality. That's the thing. It's like they're almost one-to-one. Right. A lot of people say it's like that's pretty much him.
Yeah. Just like the character I played in certain Pat the NES Punk videos was pretty close.
Oh, yes.
Anyways, so the word was, this kind of started to hit on Thursday, like right before SmackDown was going to tape or whatever it was, Wednesday, Thursday, whenever that happens. And the big word was that he was going to come out and address the allegations in character as the no chance Mr. McMahon. And the internet was like, I think everyone was like, we have to watch this because this is going to be a man burying himself live on national television. Mm-hmm. Like, not only is it beyond the pale and gross that he wants to do this and treat it as a fictional thing for his company, but like, no lawyer is going to tell you that that's a good idea. You cannot go out there in the middle of the ring and start talking shit about people who it's just
you can't say anything.
You can't. So this was going around all day and everyone's like, we're going to watch it. And then never heard anything about it. So Pat and I checked it this morning. Someone got to him and was like, you can't do this.
A lawyer or someone.
At all.
Yeah. Like you can't.
Or his wife. Maybe someone got to him because he came out and said, always, forever, together, and then walked away. Like it
was embarrassing.
It was really, really embarrassing.
He came out to no chance in hell. He did his little strut. You have people cheering. You have little.
There's a couple people cheering, but there was a lot of boos,
well,
too.
There was a 9-year-old boy who was like going, just like, oh, Jesus.
That kid has no idea what's going on, I hope.
Oh, boy. Don't look at any of the documentaries when they come out. So here's the thing about Vince McMahon. He's a gross individual, disrespects everyone. He always has.
Looks like he smells like bad ham.
And here's your guy. I talk about like the famous thing about when Trish Stratus was still new. He goes, "That's it, crow around like a dog." During the Attitude Era, like early 2000s when she was there. And yes, it's a character, but it's still demeaning to do that. The Kiss My Ass Club, where it's like, yeah, you're playing a character, but you're still making your employees literally kiss your
it's not
ass
a character
in front of millions of people. He did that to JR. He did that to John Laurinaitis. He did to a few different people. And then the worst thing, speaking of Stephanie McMahon, was when he like ogled his own daughter and was like, yeah, like complimenting his daughter's figure in character, in large quotes, on TV.
Trump Ivanka shit right there.
Yes. When Trump said, I'd date my daughter if she wasn't my daughter, it's like, this is gross stuff that you're getting away with it as a character on TV, or like leaning into it when this really shows your true personality, this stuff. In my opinion, this shows who you really are.
Yeah, I don't think that's an act.
It's so fucking weird.
It's just a thin level of defense.
Acting, even doing an act in a movie where your real daughter, you're like saying, yeah.
No, it's gross. Like, even an act, like it's disgusting. That's
disgusting.
That's a step too far.
Yes. At some point you got to say, no, this isn't enough. This is enough. But Vince runs the show still to this day. He vetoes everything that happens on the show. Like he still runs it at 76 years old, which is nuts. Yeah. He's still on the coke highs from the 80s, doing this stuff. And it's insane. So this is catching up to him, and there's a chance he'll just be, he still has all the stock and everything, but he might not be in power going forward if this finally sticks, this stuff.
Yeah. I hate to
15, 20 years too late. But, it is.
Well, yeah, everyone's been waiting for. I mean, that sounds harsh, but everyone's been waiting for him to die so they can see what direction the company's going to go in. He was supposed to transfer to his son-in-law forever, and he's now out of it. He was pushed out. He had his little heart. He had his heart issue. He's not going to be in the ring anymore. But he was being groomed to take over the company. Yes, which would have been a hell of a step up from how he ran NXT. Or he ran it well. Now NXT is a mess, supposedly. Supposedly NXT is a nightmare
because he was pushed out, and it's now another WWE Raw product, basically. So the point is that that's not happening. That's past.
Right.
Triple H, or whatever, Jean Paul Levesque said, fuck this. I'm just going to enjoy my semi-retirement and not put up with this anymore. So even that's done. This is why I don't really cover wrestling anymore. Because
it's gross.
Because it'd be like, it would be like if we had to cover the Marvel movies, but all this awful shit was happening behind the scenes and like changing shit and doing, like we were talking before, it'd be like trying to try to follow the Avengers movies. Then all of a sudden in the middle of it, they decide, oh, Captain America turned heel and sided with Thanos. And it doesn't make any sense, but it like happens. You have to deal with it and follow it.
Just fucking deal with it.
Yeah, it's just like that's shit. That's what watching wrestling is.
Good shit.
You know, these idiots are fucking things up. And you have to try to follow along with it.
Yeah.
And you can't do it.
Just fucking...
You know, Captain America just starts hitting on like Scarlet Witch in their movie. Like, what the hell's happening?
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing to my character? I love this character, and you've ruined it. You know.